Today I am going to talk to you about my new book that I'll talk to you a little bit about at the end. Stuart and I always laugh. I've never been the guy that goes, oh, I've got a new book. I can only cover 2 topics today, but outside for $99.99, I've never been a guy really good at promoting my stuff. But this is a book I'm very proud of called Turn Your Fear into Fuel. And it's a speech that I've given for years because it's a very personal speech. So I figured, I'm not getting any younger. So I worked with a team to finally do the book on it. And, last night was amazing. I want to thank Stuart and team, Lifetime Achievement Award. My only hope is that I still have a lot of time in life, that it's not just a lifetime already. But it was an honor to receive that award, and it's an honor to be here with you. I want to talk to you today about how the topic, turn your fear into fuel, relates to you personally and relates to you building a business and building a team. We're all in the people business. And people are human basket cases. We all are. We all have our little demons that we wake up with at 3 o'clock in the morning and can't go back to sleep. Our little fears, doubts, and uncertainties that get programmed into us. And if we're in the people business, that means we attract joiners to build leaders. And to build leaders, you've got to become a master at transferring confidence to unconfident people. People, by the time they join your business, have been lied to by their boss, have a lot of them given up on their dreams, and just started accepting what life has to offer. And you've got to become a master of building them up, of moving them forward. Now, let me just tell you first who this, and by the way, before I do that, listening to everyone sitting in the CEO Summit, yesterday, watching Stuart's presentation, I realize this room right now, handful of companies are on a roll. A lot of companies are, treading water. A lot of companies are down, and people are questioning, it's like in your sales force, people, I just don't know if this works anymore. I mean, the number of times I heard that at Primerica was unbelievable. When we got the company public in 2010, after the financial collapse, before the financial collapse, 30% of the cash to our sales force came from a product called a Smart Loan, save money and reduce taxes. It was a first mortgage wrapper that you rolled all of the personal debt into this new refinance. We accelerated it with biweekly payrolls and payments by biweekly payments, and you got out of debt much faster. And it was a huge product for us. Well, after the financial collapse, no one had equity in their homes. Couldn't redo those. Everyone had lost their tail in Citigroup stock. We had lost 30% of the cash flow to the field. And when we got out, the first meeting I had with guys was, I just don't know if this works anymore. Well, Primerica had its record year last year. It still works. So you've got to work on how you think, all those doubts and fears. Let me tell you who the book's not for. People who think they're perfect, have all the answers. I know everything. I've never been wrong in my life. And unfortunately, in our world today, we have more of those than we used to have. And those folks think they're right all the time, so I guess they don't have any fears. I mean, the truth is, I got all kind of fears. Always have. Always will. have learned I can't eliminate them, but I can use them. Let me tell you what, certainty, when you think I'm just so certain, I'm so right, I'm so perfect, certainty is the enemy of tolerance and unity. Only through doubt, and I call it the power of self-doubt, do you develop empathy. Look, I know I'm a basket case. Good Lord, ask my wife, she'll tell you. We are all full of self-doubt. Early in my career at that time, A.L. Williams, the CEO of Pencor Financial, which was the company that underwrote the insurance of A.L. Williams, was a gentleman named Stanley Byer. And he used to always give a talk on by the time you're 5 years old, a lot of your fears and doubts that you live with are programmed into you. And most people spend their life with a 5-year-old child inside them telling them what they can do, what they can accept, what they can make happen. You have to be boldly humble. You have to learn that life is contradictions. There's days you're going to think you can do anything. And there's days you're going to think, I have no clue what to do today. And the examples I use in the book, a lot of them are very personal from my walk, but a lot of them are historic. Recently, I was in London for Utility Warehouse, and I filmed a little promo that'll be coming out on social media for the book in front of the home Winston Churchill lived in as a child. Now, his parents, he had a tortured relationship with his parents, Lord Randolph Churchill and Jenny Jerome Churchill. She spent most of her life having affairs with royalty, and his dad always told him he wasn't good enough. Bring up the first graphic for me of the watch. And this is a letter Winston Churchill got when he was a child off at boarding school. His father had given him a valuable family watch, and he had lost it. And in the letter, his father, imagine, I've actually gone to the Churchill archives and held the letter and read it. It said, "It is clear you are not to be trusted." And at the end, it says, "In all qualities of steadiness, taking care of things, and never doing stupid things, Jack is vastly superior." That was his brother. Those were the demons that got programmed into Sir Winston Churchill, who wound up saving Western civilization from the Nazis. When he was an old man, he was in his art studio at Chartwell, his beautiful home in Kent, and he loved to paint. He was a prolific painter. And in there, he fell asleep in his easy chair, and he had a dream. And he woke up and wrote a book. I have a first edition of it called The Dream. And it's that his father's ghost came to him and asked him, "What's happened since I died?" And he told him about the rise of fascism, the rise of Hitler. And right when he was going to tell him that, "And I became prime minister and I saved England," his father vanished. He had demons inside him that were always there. Charles Dickens, that wrote, probably next to Shakespeare, the greatest writer in English history. He was tortured by his childhood as a poor boy that wound up getting sent to a workhouse. We all have those things that hold us back, those fears. Right after Art Williams sold the company and was gone from A.L. Williams, we were purchased by what became Citigroup. Sandy Weil, Jamie Dimon, who runs JP Morgan Chase now. And they were titans of Wall Street. Now, our company cratered when Art was gone. I mean, oh, the humanity. Okay, I was 30-something years old. I was too dumb to quit, was how bad the business was. So one day, Sandy, Jamie, a gentleman named Jay Fishman, who wound up CEO of Travelers, and Charlie Scharf, who's now the CEO of Wells Fargo that has a big building right next door, and Charlie, and he was the CEO of Visa. So these were heavyweight dudes. Came down and wanted to get a group of us that had been around a while to talk to them about what's going on. Well, you got to remember, the first thing they did when they took over the company after they ran Art off was to let 30% of the home office go. So I was like, okay, I got a job. They had like 20 of us in a room. So what do people do when they're scared for their job? Sandy Weil chewing on a cigar, tough New York businessman. So how are things going? People are going, oh, it's been tough, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. We feel like things are turning, blah, 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 blah. It got to me, and I don't know why I had the courage. I said, y'all may never want to ask me a question again, but this thing is like the Hindenburg at Lakehurst. Oh, the humanity. And I went through statistics of what was happening to our sales force cash flow and what was happening. So I went home, told my wife, I said, I'll probably be looking for another job here in the next few days. And the next day I got a phone call from Jamie Dimon who said, I want to thank you for being the one honest person in the room. I'm coming down with Charlie, and you get 3 or 4 guys and y'all tell us what to do. And so I worked with some of my friends and stuff in the company, and we put together a bonus structure, we thought, and we stabilized the company. Within 3 years, I was president of the company. Now, if in that dark moment, full of fear, if I hadn't have found the courage to give the answer I gave and to be able to back that up, I wouldn't have been up here last night getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. God knows what my job would have been. Life moves on small decisions. You have to recognize, appreciate, and embrace your fears. Because at the end of the day, what it takes is courage. It takes courage to go win. Sir Winston Churchill said, courage is the first of all human qualities, because without it, nothing else is assured. Bring up the second graphic, which shows Sir Winston Churchill in 1915. He had been already First Lord of the Admiralty in his 30s. World War I is raging. He came up with the idea, as he was head of the Navy, to create a second front by invading Turkey that was an ally of Germany in World War I at a place called Gallipoli. It was a complete logistical disaster. 20,000 men, British men, were killed that day. He was forced out of government. This is the headline of the Daily Mail that day that says, I'm finished at 30-something. What did he do? He didn't just say, head on home, I've got family money, I'll live there. He went to the front lines as a captain, fought, had bullets shot at him, went back into government after the war, and then at age 65 became prime minister in the height of World War II and saved England. Courage Courage is not comfortable. Courage is not convenient. Courage is required if you're going to not eradicate your fears, but fight your fears and go win anyway. Winning takes courage. It takes commitment. It takes consistent effort. You have to embrace adversity. The philosopher Thomas Carlyle said, adversity is the diamond dust heaven polishes its jewels with. As I look back at my career with Primerica, it's not the great moments, 40,000 people coming on stage, John. That's not what I remember. It's the moments where I took a stand and fought back fear and won anyway. Quick story, and then I'll close for you today. So you all understand. I mean, this is a group that'll understand what I'm telling you. Financial collapse happened. Sandy Weil was gone. All the people that I knew at Citi that ran the business were gone. Rick and I almost had a deal to get out of Citi after 2 years of fighting to get ourselves out of Citi, and the financial collapse happened, and all the financing went away. There was no way. Citigroup started negotiating with us because their fear, the reason they were negotiating with us is they thought if Rick and John leave, they'll cut a deal with another insurance company and they'll take everybody, and we'll be left with nothing. We had no non-compete agreement. So Citi was negotiating, and by the way, we had lost all of our net worth. We had Citigroup stock, was how we had gotten paid. It had gone from $55 a share to 50 cents. And so we're playing without a net. There's a negotiation going on where they want to, if we'll just shut up, quit talking about getting our sales force out of Citi, and sign a 3-year deal. At the end of it, we were going to get a very large sum of millions of dollars just to shut up, leave them alone. So we had this negotiation going on with them. We had an attorney, and we were up in New York for a meeting. At that time, it's when all the big banks had gotten TARP money from the government. So they were under a microscope. So they canceled. So we show up at a meeting to negotiate. We get there and they go, before we start, guys, we're canceling all incentive trips, all travel, all stuff. We're canceling all of that. We had a trip that 2,000 winners were about to go to the Atlantis Hotel. This wasn't a corporate, but by the way, we were profitable as hell. We were overcapitalized. But we had 2,000 winners that were about to go to the Atlantis. And we had a convention coming up that summer, 40,000 people at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. You got to cancel all that. I lost it. I got up and said a lot of words I can't say from stage. And I said, I'm out of here. I went outside. It was snowing in New York. I'm on my BlackBerry calling Dana, who's still my assistant, to get me in a car. Rick Williams runs out of the building, my business partner and co-CEO, slaps his BlackBerry to my ear and says, talk. And he had called Art Williams, the founder of our company. And Art was like, hey, John, Rick told me what you did, man. I tell you, I've been there before, and you're a tough dude. But look, you got to go back in there and negotiate with them and save the company. You got to get it out of there. You got to save it. It's on you. So we went back in, and I said, look, you can tear the contract up. I ain't signing crap with you. I'm playing without a net. I said, I'm here to get the company out of Citi. If you tell me that's impossible, Rick and I will go figure out what we're going to do. So at the end of the meeting, the CFO of Citi at that time, Gary Crittenden, who's on the Primerica board now, looked at me and said, you know what, you're a man of integrity, and I admire that. y'all go put a deal together and come to us and tell us to take it or leave it. And you got to realize we're so screwed up, we'll probably say leave it. And so we went, long story short, we worked for months with an investment banker, and we put a deal together. It was, I must admit, a very well thought out, great deal. Most of that from Rick. And we went back to them, and fortunately they said, hey, we like that. Let's do an IPO with it. And that's why today the company has almost an $8 billion, almost a $10 billion market cap, sales force, record year of cash flow. If I'd have just signed a sheet of paper to get a check that I needed, none of what happened in my life or for that company would have happened. Courage. Courage. Look, I realize a lot of things are tough. Guess what? Hey, that's life. Crap's tough. You got to decide to become a force of nature. So if you'll bring up the last graphic, I hope you'll take a shot of the QR code. It's on Amazon. Outside at the registration desk, there are flyers on how to get the book. It's doing really well so far, amazingly. And I believe it'll help you and your team. Also on the flyer out there, it tells you how to get in touch if you wanted to buy a bulk order. That's through my assistant, Dana. And if any of you want me to be on a Zoom with your team, because look, the world now will feed you fear. You look on social media, oh, look what a perfect life they have. Look how screwed up mine is. The world will feed your fears. You've got to feed your dreams and starve your fears. And go do something great. Look, y'all are great people. You, personally, I'm not talking to your team now. You deserve to win. You can do something great. You gotta just be, as it says in the outlaw Josie Wales that I talk about in the book, one of my favorite lines in the movie is when they're about to get attacked and he tells them, you gotta get plumb mad dog mean. And you gotta become a force of nature and do something great. I'll see you at the top, because the bottom sure is crowded. Thank you.